Welcome to the Courage Never Quits podcast, where members of the West Point class of 1986 tell their stories. I'm your host, Paul LaFontaine. As always, the views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not of West Point, the Army, or any organization. Let's go to the podcast. Raffi Maranian, welcome to the podcast. The legend has landed. Catching up with Raffi.
Happy to be here.
Man, where are you right now? What's going on with you?
So right now I'm in, I call it northeast Scottsdale because people don't know where Rio Verde, Arizona is.
Right.
But I guess December will be 5 years. We've had two places, one in the Denver area. We were in Parker forever. I shouldn't even say that. We moved out there in 2018 and a half. So I'm not a big Denver, Colorado, been there forever kind of guy. So when people ask me, hey, I'm from wherever, could be 20 minutes away and I wouldn't know because I don't really know the area that well. I spent so much more time here in Arizona, probably about 8 months here every year and then 4 months in Colorado. Love the 4 months in Colorado, love the 8 months here, but that's where I'm right now. Yeah.
So the other places are actually real. I always thought every time I just reached out and said, Raffi, let's get together for lunch, you said, I'm at the other place. I thought it was all just an excuse.
It was a convenient excuse. I love catching up with you. I mean, when I walked away from our lunch, where if you recall, I didn't eat. Remember
I know
that?
You didn't.
Which is weird because I eat all the time. And I don't know why I didn't eat. I just now am remembering I didn't eat. But when I walked away, I thought to myself, why don't we do this more often? Why didn't we do this more?
We certainly lose a couple pounds because we get to talking. Neither one of us ate.
The interesting thing is, even though I was out in Colorado from 2018 and a half on, like I said, I spent the majority of the time here. But while I was out there, and some of you guys might remember this when I had that issue with blood clots and then had to have them surgically removed, but it was 2019, the beginning of it. So I had only been living out in Colorado for 6 months. And then I had, and this is serious for anyone out there who ever has an issue with any type of I can't breathe or I'm not breathing as well, any labored breathing at all, take it seriously. Because I was walking with Brandy. And those of you who don't know, my wife is class of 87. Formerly Brandy Langston, has been Brandy Maranian now for 38 plus years. And, but anyways, I was walking with her and those 6 months, I was acclimated to Colorado. It wasn't like when people go to Colorado for the first time, they're sucking wind just because, it's a mile plus high. I'd been out there, and we walked around and, I'd done athletic things there, but for some reason, all of a sudden I'm walking 10 yards, feeling like I sprinted 40 and I got my hands down on my knees. I'm telling Brady, I don't know what's going on. And unfortunately, I had an opportunity to go see my original family, Huntington Beach, California, my sisters and my mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And I had a trip planned the next day. So I went out there and should have gone straight to the ER. But the point I'm getting at, I'm sorry about all this, was
after you had the trouble.
What happened was I was stuck at home. I was on oxygen, for 18 months, blood thinners. It wasn't the greatest time. So during that time, I didn't get to know Colorado. And then COVID hit and no one got to do anything of consequence. And then since then, I've been spending all this time in Arizona. So again, the whole point there was when people say Colorado and then they blurt out where they're from, looking at me knowing I should know it and I don't. And that's why.
Haven't you explored all of the small towns in Colorado? I actually say to classmates and other grads, it's a sad fact that Colorado is incredibly spread out. So you can look at a list of Colorado graduates and say, oh my gosh, Raffi's there, LaFontaine's there, John Strickler's there, but we are hours apart from each other. So it's not like you can go grab like when we had that sandwich, we had to both travel to get together. So it's one of the unfortunate downsides of Colorado. Unlike Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where you can't swing a rancid set of Jim A and not hit a grad down here. I mean, it's crazy. We had a dozen at a coffee this morning, all years, not just 86. I do actually consort with graduates who are not 86. I know that's unusual for our class, but I do recognize there are other classes, as do you, because you married into 87.
I do.
And Brandy's a superstar. Let's just lay it on the table. She's a superstar, right?
My wife? daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the reason why I got to be a stay-at-home dad. So
You married well, brother. You married
yeah,
well. That's what they
I
say.
did. But you
So
know
how? So
the thing about real quick, the thing about being in Colorado though, we still should have gotten together. Not just you and me, but there's a number of classmates I wish I
yeah.
had gotten together with. But again, dealing with what I was dealing with, I wasn't me. I wasn't my best me, and I was just kind of sheltered in the house, dealing with, being on supplemental oxygen and
Yeah.
feeling like what's going on with my life. And then again, slammed up against that was COVID. And then
Yeah.
since
How
then,
long did it
I've
take
been
you
out
to kind
here
of
more
come
than I've
through
been
that?
there.
How long did
Yeah.
that take you to come through that process of getting yourself?
So it was what happens when you do have blood clots is they put you on blood thinners, and the
Mhm.
expectation is 3 to 6 months later the blood clots will have dissipated and you'll be over it, which is the
Right.
case 95% of the time. 5% of the time, and unfortunately, I was in that 5%. They don't resolve. They almost become like silly putty, and they're going to be
Hmm.
in there for life, and that's going to reduce your life down to about 5 years or less.
Wow.
So I was on that track, and then the only way to take care of that is you got to go get it surgically removed, and that's open heart surgery. It's a very unique surgery, and they
Very
only do it in a
brave.
few places in America. They've since been doing it in more, but the foremost leading place in the world was UC San Diego, and that's where I went to go get my open heart surgery. Again, not for my heart, but it was access through the heart into the
Yeah.
lungs where the clots were, and that's where they needed to go to get them. And
To get that.
therefore, the
Get
procedure is the
the
same. It's the same thing, except just a different reason to go in and do all that.
the public service part of this, and I'm going to credit Dan Schaefer, beloved classmate. We were out. He came to Denver and got a bunch of us together. Joe Helmick was there, and
Dan was
Dan
really
and
good at that. Everywhere he went, he was
yeah,
really good about making sure anyone in the area had a chance
right.
to go drink with him. So,
I
yeah.
think he had that corporate expense account. But we don't that's just between us. He's running
Yeah.
that corporate expense account, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But we're all losing those now. Darn it.
Well, I
But
never had one as a
he talked
stay-at-home
about his
dad. So,
procedure, which was great. So it was a wake up call. And I think at our age, we should all pay attention to what's going on with our bodies. And if something feels wrong, it's better now to get it checked.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. 8 months, a year was the plan down in northeast of Scottsdale. 4 months up in Denver. Has that held? Is that what you actually do?
That's it. Yeah, that's
Yep.
it. It's funny because anytime I'm in Colorado, I love it.
Yeah.
But the life I have here in Arizona, so I live in a predominantly 55-year-old and older community. Bunch of folks retired. Same mindset, same place in life. Where
Yeah.
adult kids, time to finally have some fun. And that's what they do out here. They have a lot of fun. I kind of liken it to a stationary cruise ship. There's always something going on. And there's probably three major things in particular. There's those who golf, those who play pickleball, and then there's something called barrel masters, which is those who drink wine. And that in the Venn diagram in the middle is a lot of folks. I happen to be on the golf side of it all.
In the middle of the Venn diagram,
a lot of people
it's
that
those
are right
people who
there.
stumble onto a pickleball court with a golf club.
It's crazy. It's a great group, and I mean, it's it's been the biggest blessing in my life because it's the closest I've ever felt to being like back at West Point. Because when I was there, and we'd be walking around, I call on a Friday night anytime I was anywhere, I always felt like I was blessed to know so many people and just go hang out with so many people. And I was never one of those guys who just hung out with just my company classmates. Not that I didn't like them, but I liked seeing and being around everybody. And I miss that. It's one of the reasons I look forward to reunions is, infrequently as they had them, I still really look forward to them. And, but out here, it feels like, it's a reunion every day. Every day I go out there, I feel like I know everybody and everyone's having a good time. Not that was the case at West Point, but that was the case at West Point on those Friday.
Is it 55 plus by design? Because some of those communities are by design, or is it just how it worked out?
It's by design.
By design. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Now I imagine you're kind of a social, rusticator down there. You get things going. I imagine.
A little bit. Yeah.
If we know you well, Rafi. So how do you get things going down there in your community?
You know, again, I think it's just people being in the right place in life where they're like, I'm looking to have a good time. I think one of the best things about the community was a lot of us came at around the same time because it's a relatively new community. Now I got here 5 years ago. Prior to that, it probably was a place to be maybe starting 7 years ago, but it felt like an incoming freshman class when we got
Yeah.
here, and when you come in as an incoming freshman class, you're like, you want to be friends? I don't have any friends. You want to be friends? Yeah, let's do it. And then
Yeah.
from there, it just grew, and if I was to tell you, I guess I am telling you, my neighbors, one, two, three, four, one, two. I mean, just across the street, boom, boom. That's just on our street alone. They're
Yeah.
all like some of my best friends, and if I was to
That's
write a
terrific.
sitcom and say, Hollywood, let's produce this, we're going to have this many friends, right, door to door to door to door. People are like, no one's going to believe that, but that's actually the way it is here. And
So
then
tips for
out and
classmates.
about,
So how do you mechanically how do you do that? And here's why I ask. I live
yeah,
in a neighborhood here where everyone is super friendly, and I live in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
yeah,
Everyone is super friendly,
yeah,
but we haven't yet. And like we'll go up and down the street and wave to everybody. Colleen and I are that kind of people,
yeah.
but we haven't quite found the mechanism to get people naturally together. It sounds like your community has some of those mechanisms, like a clubhouse, things like that. What's the mechanism you use to keep everyone kind of getting together physically? What is it? How do you do that?
The community does a good job of that already because, again, like if you were on a cruise ship, you just look at the daily, agenda and like, oh, okay, I'd like to do that at 3 and
Right.
that at 5. Everyone seems going to they'll probably be at that. I'll go to that too. So there's that aspect of it. I run on this street a golf group. The street's called Oak Creek, and so I call them the Oak Creek Golfers. And so I just grab a tee time. A couple of us do, and then just open it up to everyone else. So just even on the street alone, I golf with a lot of people. But then just folks I've known over the years, I golf with. I go to the gym, so when I'm in the gym, it's interesting because usually, like in Colorado, when I go to the gym, it's just me. I got my headphones in,
Right.
and I'm locked in, and I'm that guy who likes just to be locked in. But you
Yep.
can't do it here because there's so many people in there, and that in itself is also a blessing because you're in there, you're getting after it, but then you're socializing at the same time. So that part of it, that's another reason why I have the opportunity to be pretty connected, and I make it a point too. I was asked to lead a men's Bible study, and I say
Yeah,
asked only because that was the case. I got a garbage truck coming by, so I apologize
that's
if you hear
fine.
that. But it's probably my favorite hour of the week, and we
Okay.
have upwards of 14 plus men who go. A blessing in my life and another opportunity to have meaningful connection. I mean, the golf course is meaningful insofar as I like golf, but I really love who I golf with, and I always guarantee people you're going to have a good time golfing with me, even if I don't play well. So there's that part of it. And then the Barrel Masters, Brandy, my wife's really interested in that. And I go as a result. I'm the guy who's known to just drink water at those events, but I just have a chance to meet and greet everybody and see and be seen. And I like it. It works for me and my personality. So
So do you do the Bible study at your house or do you go to a common area? How does that work?
it's a common area. Yeah, it's a common area here. But like I
You know,
said,
I had
it's
there's a graduate in our class who lives in a community. He said the clubhouse is the mechanism because there's always something happening, and he would find
same,
himself just going over there to see what was going
same.
on, and that's a terrific resource you have.
Yeah. In fact, if anything, it's sometimes it feels like there's so much that I'm like, I don't mind pulling away. I
Right?
enjoy hanging out with Brandy. We enjoy watching, quality TV series. Problem is there's almost too much out there right now. So I enjoy those evenings, but many, many evenings we've got something to go to, and it's just good for your soul. And you and I were talking about this offline. You know, uh, we're all 60 plus.
Hmm.
Many of us are retired. Sometimes retirement can be really hard if you don't have a social structure, where you can be a part of. You go from being this meaningful person and surrounded by many people to, hey, you're done. Thanks for service,
Yeah.
and a job well done. And it's on you necessarily, or hopefully it's on you, to go about and find something that you enjoy doing that's meaningful. Because I know what is interesting thing about this place, as much as I talk about all the people I know, every year we have a block party, and I'm
Hmm.
sure that I know everybody. And then at the block party, I go and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people here I don't know. So I know those people that are out and about socializing, but like anywhere else, even in such a social environment as this, you've got people who don't. And, hopefully they have a great life. They've got family, they've got things outside of the community. But you and I were talking about the importance of
Hmm.
having something, being a part of something. And, many of us, most of you, I should say, had very meaningful careers. And, for most, that's over, at least in so far as the most significant aspect of it is. But you still got many years to live and many people to impact. And I'm just fortunate that I'm in a place where it's easy to do here. And it means the world to me in that regard. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Right, there's a genius in that, though, of finding a structural way to ensure that you get out and connect with people. So, the, here in Myrtle Beach, two grads ran into each other at a coffee shop, and it became a coffee thing every Wednesday. And it's literally a bunch of old men and their wives sometimes. Women, of course, would be welcome if any female grads were to join us. But it's just a bunch of old people sitting around talking about stuff that old people talk about, usually their
Yeah.
health. But the point is, every Wednesday, there's a mechanism to get together. And I think your golf group, your Bible study are examples of ways you just say, "Oh my gosh, it's time for the Bible study. Oh my gosh, it's time for golf." So I think that's great. That's an excellent way to live at
Yeah.
these in these times, right? Good for you. Now,
Thank you. No, but to
kids
answer your
traveling.
question, but to answer your question,
Sure.
it's harder if there isn't some overriding pre-planned like
Right.
clubhouse equivalent where they've already got things scheduled. Brandy's always been really good at that. We've lived in, I think this is our 15th home, so call it at least 10, 12 different states. Everywhere we went, we had really great neighbors, but we're the ones who kind of had to spearhead that. And Brandy in particular
Yeah.
would be the one like, let's throw a party. And I'd be like, oh God, how much do I have to clean this house to do that? And afterwards to do that. But it was always worth it. It
It's
was always
always
worth it.
that.
Yeah.
Boy, if someone could invent a way you could throw a party without having to clean ahead of time, man, there'd be a lot more parties.
I am the guy who kept insisting, please, everyone bring something. So it's not all on us, but it was always worth it. Though. It's always
We
worth it.
love
If,
the
I, if
host,
that's the
but
big
that
takeaway.
pre-cleaning thing, dang, that's,
Yeah.
if somebody could bottle a way to fix that, boy, it would change civilization.
Yeah. But the real takeaway though is it's worth the effort. Get to know
It
your
is.
neighbors. Yeah, it's you don't want to necessarily do all that work up front on the back end, but it's so worth it. It's
Well,
so worth it.
particularly at this, here's our two big public service announcements. One, if something feels odd in your body, check it with a doctor and create these mechanisms for getting together,
Definitely.
because
Yeah,
one of the
absolutely.
other things we were discussing is you live longer if you have social connection. Period. It's scientifically shown, right? If you
I
have
keep
social
hearing that. I
connection, you
keep
live
hearing
longer.
that, and I got to believe it. There are so many people in this community that I know their age chronologically. They look fantastic,
Yeah.
and they're as youthful as anyone else out here, and I got to imagine that's a big part of it. But to my earlier point,
Hmm.
even in a community like this, you've still got people who aren't participating, and and I try to make an effort to kind of get those folks involved too. And it's important. It really is. Your neighbor who doesn't look like they're even looking up at you, go talk to them.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised because a lot of times people are just socially uncomfortable. They don't know how to start. Then they're like, we didn't start, within that first month. Now we can't do it because we've already appeared to be rude, and the kind of people that don't make that effort make the effort.
Right.
It's
Good for
yeah.
you. Now, kids, do you travel a lot? What's the what's the family? And we don't want to reveal any secrets, of course. Or what's the family setup in terms of how far you got to go to see them?
So we were fortunate in that the two places we live covers the three kids that we have. Two of them
Covers
are
it.
in Colorado. The
Okay.
boys are. In fact, it's my youngest, his birthday today. So shout out to
Hey, happy
Caleb.
birthday.
And my oldest lives in Fort Collins. My youngest in
Hmm.
the Denver suburb area.
Okay.
And then my daughter lives in North Scottsdale, which is 30 minutes from here,
It's
if
great.
that. So we got that covered through the three kids, and the
Good
three
for you.
places we have. Yeah.
Grandkids? Not yet.
No, which is weird
Okay.
because my wife Brandy has a sister Sherry, 11 months younger than her, Irish twins, but even in the same calendar year. So Brandy was
Yep.
January, she was December. She only has two kids. Brandy has three. I have them as well, but she has two. Her two kids have four grandkids. Another one on the way. So yeah, we're looking at that, going, how did that work out? And in this community, so many of the folks out here have kids who have got kids, so they have
I can
grandkids,
imagine.
and
Yeah.
they speak so highly of it. But no, not for us yet.
Well, we give the class a little bit of time. Then the grandkids thing is going to be either a widespread phenomenon for everyone, or a few folks will not have it,
Yeah,
but that's fine. I know Pat Gavin just had a grandbaby, and Bobby Buller just had a grandbaby. So
yeah.
that list is
I hear
growing.
I hear they're great to have. I just I'll have to take everyone's word for it until we have
That's
the same.
right.
Yeah.
I think my son's holding off because he knows I'm just going to be a bad influence. Um, so, so that you got it covered. So now Brandy's still active. She's out. She's still working, right? Or talk a little
No, I
about
mean she's retired from her profession.
right.
Her every day, every week, every month, every year profession is over, but she's still very involved. She's a consultant, executive consultant. She teaches a class in supply chain at Colorado State University. She's the
Okay.
board president for the Colorado Veterans Project, which is a nonprofit that focuses on getting veterans transition from their military life into the corporate world, or if they were to do something entrepreneurial, they work to help those veterans make that transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she does one other thing. Sorry, I could leave right now and ask
Well,
her.
that keeps her busy, right?
There's one other thing that she does, but she keeps very busy. Yeah.
Yeah, that keeps her busy. So, is there a point where you think, well, if she reduces her busyness, do you think your program will change? Like you'll get on cruise ships. So, Darren Moore's on cruise ships all the time. You can't get the guy off
Yeah.
the ship.
Yeah.
Do you think your program changes at all, or you just kind of run that program more?
This program works, and the thing is, Brandy traveled the world,
Right.
and honestly, she has PTSD every time she's in an airport now. She's like, because I admire what she did. I don't know how she did it. She would leave Sunday mornings like early, and then
Right.
by sometime mid morning to late morning on Monday, I would find out she finally arrived at her final destination somewhere in Southeast Asia or China,
Right.
and she did that for years. That part of the world, Europe, Latin America. So anyway, she's like, I'm done, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because every time I show up and make the effort to go travel somewhere, and I'm looking at something, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of what it already looked like in my mind. I already saw that on TV. In fact, it was on an HD program, and they had back, what do you call that? Passes, to places in wherever it is where you couldn't get to, even if you made the effort and
Right.
you were there. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
travel. And we were
You know,
fortunate,
the trick is,
like
Rafi,
many
if
of
you
us.
go to, Mhm.
No, I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say we were fortunate, like many, to have lived somewhere earlier in our life where we got to do a lot of travel. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to an airport and you look in like the corner of an unused gate, and there's people of our age group, like Brandy, who's much younger than us, of course, but our age group sitting there just kind of on their phones and just sitting there doing nothing. That means you're probably looking at a retired executive who's been in every lounge, who's been in every
yeah,
first class seat, and is just
yeah,
sick of all of it. Just wants
yeah,
to sit over the quarter
absolutely,
and be left alone.
absolutely. And by the way, the word I was looking for is backstage pass.
Backstage
That's what I
pass.
was looking for. Yeah.
Right. Oh God, that's funny. So Huntington Beach, still any connection there? That's where you grew up, Huntington Beach. There's some
I
family
was
out there.
born in I was born in Chicago, and I lived in
Good.
the suburb, or the Chicago itself, for 7 years. Des Plaines, which is near O'Hare Airport, for 4. And when I was 11, we moved to Huntington Beach, California. And
Hmm.
that home that we moved to, it's still in our family. I was going to say my mom still lives there. Unfortunately, she's in hospice, and a
Okay.
little over a year ago, she broke her femur, and she has not been back home since, and
Ah,
won't be.
sorry to hear
But
it.
my youngest sister lives there, so yeah, that home is still there, and
Still
I'm still
there.
connected to Huntington Beach through my family. But no, I don't go there all that often. We were fortunate from 2012 to 2018. We lived in North San Diego. Um,
Right.
I say that because our address was San Diego, but we were actually 30 minutes to the north. We lived in a
Yep.
community that Rancho Santa Fe wouldn't have us. In Rancho Bernardo, we were like, we don't need to be there. So we were San Diego. But people would call me up at the airport. They're like, dude, I'm here for like an hour. Come see me. I'm like, I'm 45 minutes away. So it's not happening. But no, and I had, and
Here's
there's
your
my connection.
backstage pass link.
Yeah.
You look at a picture of me.
Yeah, no kidding. But I had, I did spend more time in Huntington Beach when I lived there, and I was there as recently as September to spend some time with my mom and to be with
Yeah.
my sisters who both live, one in Huntington Beach, one but 20 minutes away. So I do have a connection there. But and it's interesting because earlier I was telling you when people, I tell people I'm in Colorado and they tell me where they are, I wouldn't know. Same thing. I remember because I grew up in Huntington Beach, from sixth grade through high school, and anyone who hears that goes, "Oh, I'm from Yorba Linda," and I'm like, I have no idea where that is because I was already at the beach. So
Right.
everyone who was inland knows where they're from in every town between them and whatever closest beach they have, and so I was kind of an
And it
ignorant
was
but
thickly
happy teenager.
populated. You didn't, I mean, there was a lot of people there. So you didn't go
I was already
ranging
where
around and,
I was already
right?
where everyone wanted to be. So yeah,
Right. Now, did you know
and I do,
Darren Moore in
and I
high
do
school? Because
appreciate
Darren's from Huntington Beach.
Darren's from Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to a neighboring high school. I'm trying to remember who else might be from Huntington Beach. There's a lot of guys from the surrounding area. Again, I don't know
Right.
exactly how far they were from me, but yeah, there's a good contingency of SoCal 86ers. Yeah,
That's how we met. California cadets. They got us together. I don't know if you remember that. They got us together in that auditorium. Dave DeRoche was there. All the cadets from Landon Lack, all the cadets from California. They got us all together.
yeah.
And
I
you of
don't
course
remember
got up
that.
and held court. And you were in perfect form from day one. It was brilliant,
What's that?
unforgettable. Raffi Maranian. So I
Again,
just
you,
had
you and I.
I had nibbles with Roger Dean Carson's. We had some beverages and nibbles, and I mentioned that I had talked to you and that we were going to sit down and have a chat today.
Yeah.
And he said, Raffi, a legend. And he said a lot of kind words. And he said, everybody loves Raffi. And he says, but all I know is no matter where Raffi is in the world, his hair is too long. Now,
It's what
what
near
was
to
that all
what?
about? His hair is too long. So,
Now I just grow it on my face. I do have some hair though. Oops, oh, I don't like that one. Let's put that back
what
on.
was that about?
I'm still wearing this
You
from
like to run
yesterday.
you like to run it a little long? What's the little relaxed grooming
Nah,
standard? What's the deal?
I always thought about it. That kind of. And every time I go, I mean, even your length, I would be like, no, I can't go. I can't do it. I do have a
Yeah,
great picture of me though with a wig on, and I had that kind of big Lebowski look, and I'm like,
yeah.
I kind of liked it. I kind of like. I can't pull it off, but with some hair and makeup, maybe.
Maybe. Well, you have the attitude. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do
Cool.
you want to talk?
So,
Do you want to talk about what you and I were kind of getting
sure.
at with the? And I'll let you start it off because it's your idea, and I think it's a great idea. Run with it.
Well, we're just going to pivot. At this discussion was an example of we're going to ruminate less about the past and we're going to just focus on what's going on for us all right now. So we're catching up with Rafi. After this, people will know, oh, Rafi's got these two locations. He's got his kids are there, so he's probably going to be going back and forth between those two locations. Brandy doesn't want to travel the world anymore, so they're locked in. They got a great
Yeah.
program. I'm going to reach out to Rafi, right? So the more we share with each other what we're doing now, one, the easier it is to share, and two, it's just makes it more comfortable to reach out to you now, and because we feel like we know each other if we see just a little bit of information about each other. And at the very minimum, the 40th reunion, we can walk up to each other having been updated on what's going on. So that was the idea.
Yeah, and also, and you mentioned to me, and I thought, I fell in the same category. I think there's a lot of folks who were watching you interview those folks that in our class who wanted and sat down for the extended interview, who I
Yeah.
think were like, that was awesome, but I don't want to do that,
Right.
or like in my case, that was awesome, but I don't have but 5 minutes worth of material that you guys would be, astounded by. And then after that, I got nothing,
Right.
so, whereby, most of, a lot of our classmates have, I mean, obviously what they did in the military and the ranks they rose to and the units they commanded, or,
Yep.
in corporate America, the Fortune 100 companies they worked for and the titles they had, or, you know, the boards they're sitting on right now. I don't have those things. So as much as I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I'd love to sit down. I'm like, but I don't have any material. And I thought you made a good point. Make this more about just kind of catching up and not necessarily, this is your life, and be
Right.
prepared for an hour to keep us entertained by all the accomplishments you've had. I know I couldn't do
Right.
that, but for, like I said, to the first commercial break, and I'd be like, okay, we're done. But I think there's a lot of us who'd like to catch up. Where are
Yeah.
you? What are you up to?
Well, there was an
What,
inadvertent
what are you going to do
pattern
next?
created, right? Yeah.
And what are you going to do next? Like, for instance, you had Joel Schlachtenhofen on,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Joel's in Scottsdale? And I picked up the phone. No, actually, what did I do? I reached out somehow immediately, and we got together within a week,
Yeah.
and we had
You guys
such a
sent me a
great time
picture, which
catching
was
up.
amazing.
Yeah, and we've gotten together a few times since, and he went off this summer, and I went off to the summer. We haven't gotten together yet, but he's going to see this. He's going to reach out to me. I know you will. But no, I think
Yeah.
that's huge, and I think that'd be of great benefit to a lot of classmates. And I think a lot of classmates would love to catch up. Join us.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people you can put on here at the same time, but yeah, sit down and kind of catch up. Like I said earlier, where are you? What are you up to? What are you doing next? Especially geographically, it's really nice to find out you've got a classmate who you were friends with 40 years ago, who you didn't know lived, 40, minutes from you or less. So it's worth it.
Right. And that's the key, right? Is lowering the it's a sad fact that we were all very ambitious kids. We wanted to go to college, a big college, and for all the reasons that we went to West Point, be it,
Yeah.
we've heard some ideas in the podcast. And then when they got there, they just put this ruthless regime of comparison, through the class rank and through all this kind of stuff. And there was reasons for that at the time. I know they've backed off a bit from that, but this whole idea of ranking kind of sits in our nervous systems, and so we all naturally do this, and that's not healthy. I really dislike it because it impedes connection. So I'm not going to reach out to one of the famous people in the class because they're more famous or whatever, right? And that's silly
Yeah.
because they're classmates. And I had a lunch with a group of grads, and one of the people at the table was not our classmate, but had made it very high up in the military. And we just had a conversation about parents and stuff, and it was totally fine, right? So when we remove all that comparison stuff, then there's Raffi and Paul sitting and having a chat. And then we could sit with Roger Karstens, who's obviously done very well in life. We're all colleagues in equality, if that makes sense, from the class. And then we can celebrate each other's accomplishments as they
Yeah.
come up, right? So,
Well, I mean, I liken it to if you and I were at one of our reunions and we just grabbed a table, like, let's get away from the crowd, let's sit down.
right.
What's up? How you doing? You wouldn't go through a 30 or 45-minute dissertation on what you've accomplished and
Let me give you some information
dates and
about all
places
I've
and
done.
no, yeah. You know, we'd be doing what we're doing right now. And
Totally
I
right.
think that was brilliant on
That's
your
totally
part
right.
to reduce this down to, hey, we're sitting at a table, maybe, at a reunion, just catching up real quick, but not necessarily with the, okay, we'll do this again, hopefully 5 years later. Maybe we do this again, a week from now with someone else who wants to join in. I
Yeah.
don't know what your vision is for this, but I thought it was a brilliant idea to kind of make it more catching up versus this is your life.
I just wanted to connect with classmates.
Yeah.
The initial idea
60 for
for the
60, right? Wasn't that your
yeah,
goal?
well, yeah, well, the very original idea, and I've shared this with a few folks, is that we were doing the TAPS articles, and I just thought it's ridiculous in this day and age of Zoom, texting, and all these ways that we can connect, that the only time we talk about each other is when one of us sadly passes. That's silly, right? So we need to stop doing that. And then the 60 for 60, I was turning 60, I wanted to reach out to folks. And so it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if we can make a video of just catching up with somebody on what they're doing, regardless of what their interest is, if they collect stamps or
Sure.
if they like to golf or whatever they do, then people feel more comfortable reaching out and saying, I didn't know that you're actually living in Kansas City. I'm passing through there. Let's have a coffee. If we can just
Yeah.
create more of those moments, then the entire class connects. So I think
And the
that's
other thing too is the other thing too. I know you'd shared this with me, and I thought it was true. Not everyone wants to be in that square next to you, alone next to you. And
right.
if you can add another square, and it's you and me and somebody else, or
Mm-hmm.
you and two or three company classmates are like, let's go do this together with Paul.
Yep.
Then it feels more like I'm sitting down at a table and having fun, and not necessarily having my life examined and having to prove I deserve to go to heaven or something like that.
Exactly.
Defending,
Because
what is that movie
you
with
could
defending your life? Anyways, yeah, I kind of
you
felt
could
like
prove that in your own
some of those
time.
guys that you had before. I'm like, they defended their life quite well. I don't know if I could.
Right.
I don't have
No,
to.
that's right.
I don't have
So
to
I
in
can
this new
actually
format.
record these on Zoom as well. And the only reason I use this software is that there's some technical advantages, but we can do Zoom calls as well. No problem at all.
Yeah, whatever works. Yeah.
The Glee Club was actually done with Zoom. So we were popping in and out on Zoom. So that's totally doable. So we'll do
Yeah.
some, I think the multi-person thing is great. I'm going to have you come back we'll get some folks on here and talk to them about stuff. Have it feel like I love that you just came up with an analogy in this call, which is the Raffi Maranian difference. This idea of sitting at a table, what would you talk about? You wouldn't talk about
Yeah.
your resume.
Yeah.
You talk about
Right.
your people in your neighborhood. You talk about your kids. You talk about those types of things. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Because ultimately, I would love it if everyone felt like, hey, it's kind of fun to go on there and catch up. Because
Sure.
what happens then is in real life, I talk to more people.
And you could be Johnny Carson, I could be Ed McMahon, and just and then we have a guest there. Or again, you don't have to have me, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, no, that's
if
right.
it make anyone more comfortable to have, sit down without just the other camera being trained on you, and then Paul, and you're like, oh, don't feel that way.
Fair enough. We're gonna figure.
Yeah.
We are going to figure out a way to make this a very comfortable forum that lots of people can come on, and that way we'll open up the conversation and connect the class. Because one of the things I think is important in your lesson that you have given us around the clubhouse and the Bible study and the golf group and the things that you're doing is that you have a structural mechanism to connect with people in your neighborhood. Imagine if we were clever enough, and I think we are, to have a structural mechanism to get all of our classmates to connect with each other. That's what we're after here. Let's create a clubhouse for the class.
In our class of 86 neighborhood.
Exactly. Right?
And you're going to have some who, like me, want to come out and have this conversation, as long as it's not defending my life. And then you'll have those who probably will appreciate it, like a neighbor here who might see the gathering and say, that's cool. I'm glad we have good neighbors, and I'm watching what they're doing. Watch if you want, but participate would be a lot better. And if it just felt like a neighborhood here that we started getting people to come out of their houses, and spend some time out in the street together, just chatting, or the other analogy, just sitting down at a table.
That said, we will have to actually share, though, that one of the signal accomplishments of your life was your mastery of the pugil stick at Buckner. We were all terrified of you.
For another day.
To this day, if I see you pick up a broom, I run, Rafi.
For another day. We'll do that on the next one.
Another day.
We got to get Kirk and Terrence. We got to get some guys who I know are just known quality fighters to weigh in on what pugil sticks.
You don't mess with LaFontaine. That's too easy.
Yeah.
You walk in that gym.
Between just reminiscing about pugil sticks at Lake Frederick and boxing, I think you'd have 20 hours worth of content with 20 plus people. Easy.
The
But
poor
you don't
TA
have
is trying to
and
get a book together on boxing, and so I would love to. I would love to help him capture some of that because it's such a great experience. But people,
yeah,
everybody has a boxing story. Everybody.
yeah. But also, everyone has a current story, and
Yes.
sometimes you think you might be the only one who's going through that. Um, and I want to talk about the current stories too with you and with any
Absolutely.
classmates who want to, because honestly, it is about today and moving forward, and but fun to reminisce about the past. But I like the idea that you had and kind of checking in where you're talking a little bit about the past, but is equally interested in who you are now and where what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And I love the idea. I really do.
And we're gonna do it. And this was the first one. So the podcast is back, and it's taking this new direction where we're going to focus on today, what people are doing today, and we were able to focus on Rafi. So next time, Rafi and I are going to come together, and we're going to bring a third person on. We're going to have a chit chat like we're at a table. That's what we're going to just like we're sitting around a table having a coffee and catching up with somebody, and we will scheme that up and figure out who that's going to be.
I love it.
Anything we haven't talked about today, Rafi?
Today being November 12th, I'd mentioned earlier it was my youngest son's birthday, but it is one of our classmates' birthday and one of my best friends, Rob Hazen, company
Rob Hazen.
C3. He shares a birthday with my youngest, and I had a chance to wish him over text a happy birthday, but want to do that right now in this forum as well.
That's great. Happy birthday, Rob. Super stuff. We will come back to you with a next guest next time. Rafi, thanks so much for coming on. It was great catching up.
Thanks, Paul. I really enjoyed this. And like I said, I love the idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it grows.
I'll talk soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Courage Never Quits podcast, where any member of the class of 1986 who is willing to tell their story will be a guest. To get the word out and stay up to date on the latest episodes, hit the like and subscribe button. With over 900 living graduates, we have a lot of stories to tell, and you don't want to miss any of them. We'll see you in the next episode.